There is now a wide receiver in the transfer portal that Deion Sanders and Colorado absolutely need to go after.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. We're also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Also, thank you for making me your first listen. Let's talk about it. Deion Sanders, Colorado, they need more wide receiver options. Now, I think a lot of people hear this and they go, what are you talking about? They have a bunch of wide receivers. And you're not wrong. I think they have a lot of potentially good wide receivers. But in reality, we haven't seen most of them, right? I'm very high on Adrian Wilson, Quanell Farragon, Quentin Gibson, right? I think those three wide receivers that they brought in the recruiting class, really good. They brought in Joseph Williams from Tulsa. He's really good, right? He's the American Rookie of the Year. That being said, they are replacing a lot, and I don't think we've quantified how much Colorado's losing. They are losing between Travis Hunter, that is, Jimmy Horn, LeJontay Western, Will Shepard, their top four receivers, not in particular order. They are losing 255 catches, 3,251 yards. For reference, Shedeur threw for 4,300 yards. 32 touchdown catches. You add in a punt return touchdown for LeJontay, a rushing touchdown for Travis, and all of a sudden, this is getting, I don't want to say scary, because I think Colorado did a good job of adding talent where they could. That being said, I really think that they could use some more options. Right? It doesn't hurt to have more options. And the other day, when Troy Taylor, Stanford's head coach, was fired, I listed 5 guys that Colorado would love or should target if they hit the portal. Right? One of them was David Bailey, who's currently the number 1 player in the portal right now. He's an edge rusher. He's going to go to Texas. I think he's going to Texas Tech, but he visited Texas Tech, and UCLA. And then one of the other guys I mentioned was Emmett Mosley. Now, he was a true freshman this year. You look at his recruiting ranking, he was a 3-star recruit, but he was a former 4-star, borderline 5-star kind of guy, missed his senior year, so his recruiting ranking took a hit. His parents are both, he comes from an athletic family. Dad played football at Notre Dame. Mom played soccer at Notre Dame. His sister plays soccer, I think, at Iowa. His little brother is a 4-star recruit. Top 115 recruit, just committed to USC last month. He's a receiver as well. So there's a lot of athleticism in that family. And realistically, you need more options at wide receiver, right? Because I mentioned, right, I'll go over the numbers again. You're losing 255 catches, 3,251 yards, and 34 touchdowns overall between Travis Hunter, LeJontay Western, Will Shepard, and Jimmy Horn. So you need to replace that, right? And you look at what the other guys on the roster, right? Omarion Miller, he had 10 catches for 216 yards and a touchdown last year. Draylon Miller, 32 catches, 277 yards, and 3 touchdowns. After that, the next most experienced receiver was Terrell Timmons with 4 catches for 22 yards. Isaiah Harge had a catch for 39 yards, right? All of these guys could potentially evolve into better receivers, sort of step into larger roles. But Emmett Mosley is a dynamic weapon, right? He's a guy that I think he's like a LeJontay, where you just get the ball in his hands and he will make a play. As a true freshman last year, coming off of a torn ACL, so he hadn't really played football since, I guess, his junior year, I think you could say. 48 catches for 525 yards and 6 touchdowns for Stanford this past year with inferior quarterback play and with Elok Iomanor. I'm sure you guys all remember him, and if you don't, that was the guy that torched Colorado. He did that with him on the other side of the field, right? So Stanford had a NFL caliber wide receiver, and they targeted him a lot, and Emmett Mosley was still kind of like the safety blanket for Ashton Daniels. So I really think that Coach Prime in Colorado should go after him. They're already going after Sincere Brown, who is the 6'5" Campbell receiver, started his career at USF. I don't think it hurts to bring in multiple, right? The one thing you don't want to have is depth, right? At the end of the day, say you bring in both of these guys and I don't know, someone gets bumped down in the rotation, whether it's Isaiah Harge or Terrell Timmons, whatever it is, right? For example, it's okay. It's okay to have depth, right? In this era of college football, injuries happen, right? Jimmy Horn was banged up a lot of the year. Injuries happen. Travis Hunter, he went down against Kansas State, right? They needed someone else to step up. So I adamantly think that Colorado should get Emmett Mosley on the phone, be like, hey, get out here for our spring game. We want you to be a focal point of our offense because he's I would say a slot kind. Well, I don't know. He's 6'2", so he's a little bit bigger than most, but you can move him all over, right? You can use him in the run game. You can use him in the kick return game if you want. But I think he adds a different dynamic because you look at, Draylon 6'1", Omarion 6'2", and then Joseph Williams is also 6'2", right? So he adds another receiver with size, speed, and I think you use him in a lot of different ways. And so for Pat Shurmur and this offense, which is probably going to be a lot different this year, I don't think it hurts to have multiple options in terms of like, hey, we want to get receivers involved in the RPO game, like in terms of running or jet sweeps or whatever. We want to get the ball we want quick passes to guys who can make plays after the catch, right? And Emmett Mosley could do that. And I really think that Colorado should go after him. I'm sure Notre Dame's going to go after him. They have the family ties. It wouldn't surprise me if USC goes after him to pair him with his brother. Texas is another program who they are without. They currently don't have a wide receiver who is active in spring ball that has a catch. So that's pretty crazy. So they may go after him, right? So there's going to be a lot of programs going after this guy, right? I don't think you put up those numbers as a true freshman at a Power 4 program and not generate a lot of interest. That being said, if you're Colorado, right, Deion Sanders is in the mix for multiple years. You have Julian Lewis, who he's going to be the future of the program, whether he starts right away or not. He's going to be the future. And you have Caden Salter, experienced quarterback. I think that's a great selling point. And if I'm Colorado, I'm making that selling point. I'm being like, hey, we could be something. Let us be something together. When we come back, we're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders' draft stock and why it may be falling a little bit, but why that's okay. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through, whether you're staying up late, watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day. 5 Hour Energy gives you the quick, refreshing pick-me-up wherever you need it. Basketball madness. I've been taking 5 Hour Energy. I've been staying up late watching the game, and so 5 Hour Energy takes me to that next level, gives me that energy to help me stay up the next day. And it's also super convenient, right? Whether I'm at a game, traveling, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and keeps me feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango, and you can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. And you can get it delivered to your door. Need one right now? Get a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Thank you guys for making me your first listen. Let's talk about the NFL draft, right? It's 21 days, 1 hour, 1 minute, and 50-ish seconds away at the time I'm recording this. The draft order right now goes Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, New York Giants, New England Patriots, Jacksonville Jags, Las Vegas Raiders, New York Jets, Carolina Panthers, the Saints, the Bears, 49ers. Shedeur Sanders and this quarterback class, they're not really viewed in a highlight, right? I don't know if it's just because we're comparing it to last year's class between two classes that are viewed as generational, right? You have quarterbacks like Arch Manning next year, possibly in next year's class, Cade Klubnik, I don't really know what to think of Carson Beck anymore, but he's there. Lenora Sellers, right? You have all these guys who are going to be good in the next couple of classes. And then last year you had Caleb Williams, you had Jaden Daniels, you had Bo Nix, Drake May, Michael Penix. And then you get to this class and it's like Cam Ward's the kind of definitive number one guy, minus 2,000 odds over at FanDuel to go number one overall. And then it's like Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart are kind of positioning for QB2 in this class. And I think after that, there's a big fall off. It's like, who's the next best guy? Is it Quinn Ewers? Is it Tyler Shuck? Right? Is it Seth Hennigan from Memphis? Is it Kyle McCord? I don't know. Right? So this class is very, there's not a standout. And so I think it's hurting the class as a whole. And so the teams in the NFL are kind of adjusting for that, right? There's a discussion about the Cleveland Browns possibly tanking and taking Arch Manning next year rather than taking Shedeur this year. There is a discussion that, and Adam Schefter reported this yesterday. He said the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns, he doesn't expect them to take quarterback. So that sort of begs the question, where does Shedeur Sanders fall? Because after that, and I'll just walk you through pretty much what everyone's quarterback situation is, because I think it's pretty prevalent to this. The Titans, they're going to go Cam Ward. The Browns, apparently they're okay with not going with the quarterback. So think Abdul Carter, think Travis Hunter. We'll just say Abdul Carter for this sake. The Giants, I've talked about it countless times. They have Jameis, they have Russ, they have Tommy DeVito. Obviously, I think Shedeur is going to be a better quarterback than 2 out of the 3. I think Russ is obviously probably a Hall of Fame quarterback or a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. And I don't know if Shedeur is going to be that good because we haven't seen him play yet, but he's going to be at a higher level than the other 2. The Patriots, Drake May. The Jags, Trevor Lawrence. They're going to draft around him. The Raiders quite literally signed Geno Smith to an extension today. So I think Shedeur, this is where I'll start rating the teams based off likeliness. I don't think they take Shedeur at 6. Now, if they took him, say, if they traded back into the first round, or if they say he fell to the second and fell in their lap, I think they would take him then. The Jets, they just signed Justin Fields. I still think that's a possibility. That being said, they just invested in Justin Fields. Do they want to bring in a rookie right now, or do they kind of see what Justin Fields is? And then if he's not, or I wouldn't say nothing, if he's not what they're hoping, then they take a quarterback again when the classes are loaded next year, the year after, with Arch Manning, Lenoris, Cade Klubnik, and whoever's going to DJ Lagway in a couple of years as well. So they don't really need a quarterback at the moment. The Panthers have Bryce Young. The Saints have Derek Carr, which this is a team that I like for Shedeur Sanders, right? Derek Carr is very clearly on the last leg of his career. Do the Saints trade back or take Shedeur at 9? I don't know. I would trade back if you're going to take Shedeur at 9, because all the teams below you don't really need a quarterback. So I think you could trade down if you're the Saints, get a little more draft capital to help make up for the disaster that is your salary cap, and then you make a move for Shedeur. So I think right now the Saints at 9 is probably my 1B, and I'll get to my 1A. The Bears, they have Caleb Williams. The 49ers are working on Brock Purdy. The Cowboys, I don't think they take Shedeur at 12. That'd be a trade back situation. They have Dak under contract. The Dolphins have Tua. Maybe they surprise everyone and go quarterback because Tua's got health issues, but I doubt it. The Colts, I think they're going to wait, right? They brought in Daniel Jones. I think they're going to give Anthony Richardson another year. The Falcons, they have Michael Penix. The Cardinals have Kyler Murray. Bengals have Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow. The Seahawks went out and got Sam Darnold. Tampa Bay has Baker. Denver has Bo Nix. And then this is my 1A for Shedeur. Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting at 21, needing a quarterback, and not many teams in front of them needing a quarterback, or at least not many teams in front of them needing a quarterback and are viewed as going to take a quarterback. So I could very much see Shedeur. I don't know if it's falling or just ending up at 21, right? Because if no one needs a quarterback that high, or is no one's going to take a quarterback, is it really falling if you're not expected to go to a team that already has a quarterback? I don't think so. But we'll just say falling for the sake of this exercise. He falls to the Steelers at 21, and you're automatically with Mike Tomlin, who's one of the best coaches in NFL history, always makes the playoffs. Decent team, right? I think the Steelers are in that Aaron Rodgers mix, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is at that point in his career where he won't mentor a young quarterback, right? Maybe they get Rodgers, maybe they get Shedeur. Shedeur learns from Rodgers. Who better to learn from, right? So that's how I foresee this happening. If it's not the Steelers, Other teams I would circle the Rams in case they want to find a replacement, or not a replacement, but a future replacement for Matthew Stafford. And then that's pretty much it. I don't think the rest of these teams are really in need of a quarterback. So those are the few options that I have. You comment below, what team do you think Shedeur Sanders should go to? Because I feel like we go all over the place with this. When we come back, NFL teams are starting to realize, or NFL personnel are starting to realize what I've been saying this entire time, that Travis Hunter is probably going to play wide receiver. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by FanDuel. The NCAA tournament is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. It's easy and fast. The FanDuel app is super simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, so there's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I've been saying it for the entire year. You'll catch me on a New York Giants podcast next week talking about this fella, Travis Hunter. And listen, I think Travis is a generational talent. I think if there was anyone in NFL history or in college football history who would have the ability to play both ways, it would be Travis Hunter, right? He dominated on both sides of the ball at the college football level. It wasn't like he was a gadget player on offense and was a full-time defender. He was full-time both ways, was really good both ways, yet I don't think there's a lot of value in him playing both ways at the NFL level, and I think he can. I'll say that again. He can play both ways. But at the same time, I've said this before, there's a few reasons why I don't see it happening. And the reason I'm talking about this is Todd McShay says he views him as a better wide receiver than a corner because you want the ball in his hands, which I've been saying. But here, so we got that, right? You want the ball in his hands. I think Travis is best when he's making plays with the football. And like, I don't really know how impactful he could be as a corner, right? He's good in coverage, but he's never going to have the football unless he picks it off. But once he establishes himself as a good corner, elite corner, teams aren't going to throw his way. Second reason, wide receivers get paid more, right? I know it's not all about the money, but I mean, career longevity, career value, he's going to get paid more as a wide receiver. Third, and I think this could be kind of the most important aspect of it, even if whoever drafts him is like, you know what, we're going to let you play both ways. He's not going to play both ways full time. It's just not going to happen, right? It's going to be X amount of plays on offense or X amount of plays on defense, or you play offense majority of the time, and then you're on certain packages on defense, or vice versa. You're our corner, our second corner, and then on offense, you're in our 12 personnel, like whatever it is. I don't think there's a realistic path to him playing wide receiver and corner. I think he's better at wide receiver. I think he brings more to the team. And I think as cool as it would be to see him play both ways, I don't think it helps anyone if he's playing both ways and he's not playing full time at one position, because then it's like, okay, he's kind of like a part-time player at that point. And I just don't foresee it happening. And not that Travis isn't a great student of the game, but there's been a lot of NFL players that come forward and say it just won't work, right? You have to go to meetings and all this. And he did that in college, but they also, it was Travis Hunter. They kind of made it obvious, right? They were like, we understand what Travis is doing and we want to help him succeed. So he doesn't practice. So he doesn't do this, right? I don't know if that's going to be the case with the NFL, right? He's a rookie. Veterans are going to be like, so I have to practice, but this rookie doesn't, right? So Travis Hunter, probably going to play receiver. At least that's where some people are viewing him as. That's where I've been viewing him as. And I just think that's what would help him flourish. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I'll keep you covered every step of the way. I'm Kevin Borba, host of Locked On Buffs.